Monitor is on. Hmm.
I have to be more specific.
Okay. So, what? Okay, so, Jonathan, you're switching. Okay, so in the Jabber, and Mo, can I still bother you to finish your work today with the notes? It will be short. Yeah, okay. Now he will get credit in 3 meeting notes. I mean, not in one at the same time. Okay, so we have a short time, so let's try to do it because we have less than half an hour. But this is not the one I wanted to show. Which one is the status? Working with status. Chair slides. Okay. So. Which one is the same?
No,
okay, so this is the XR block. The note well is we have already the new note well again. Nothing changed from last half an hour. The agenda. We have the XR block status update, IPPM initial registry entries for XR block metrics by Rachel, and effective logs index reporting is Chino. Rachel will also present that. And the next step. The working group status, the RTCP XR metric, RTC Web RTCP XR metric 09 submitted to ISG, waiting for AD go ahead. The effective logs index, new work on the agenda, it's individual draft, and the IPPM initial registry on the agenda is coordination follow-up with IPPM. Next step, okay, this is more like for the area director, it's more like the issue of how we continue with this working group, since the both chairs are not really have resources to participate in face-to-face meeting. So we discussed it the previous time, and we need to conclude if we want to appoint new chair or to fold it into AVT core or whatever. Okay. This is just a. Okay, we can put it at the end if we have time. Otherwise, we'll go do it offline. But just the point that they was making. Dan wrote this presentation, so he put all the things that are there. And thanks, Dan. I think he's unable to attend. He's on vacation or something. Okay, so first presentation is the. So block. It's the effective loss or the other one. Effective loss. Okay, so this is the effective loss. Okay.
This is effective loss.
Rachel, cannot hear you.
It's on, yeah. Maybe. No, it's on. It's battery. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe I think.
Meanwhile, I'll take this just a sec. Okay, flow mic.
So, okay. Next.
Yes.
Can I? Next.
Okay.
All right. So, what is the effective loss index means actually it's a metric. It intends to be a very simple one that you could measure the effectiveness of loss repair means, and it's a simple metric, so it could be directly compared. So here list the two example usage. You could use it, at the end of the RDP receiver to compare different RDP endpoints. And also it can be, implemented in the middle box in the network to find out which part of the network caused, service called degradation. The latter one is, is very important for IPTV troubleshooting use case. Next. Yeah. Why this new metric? Why not use the old ones? Okay, we have a couple of metrics that we standardized. For example, post-repair loss, RFC 7509. This metrics, this value can be compared very simple. It's just one in a count and measures the effectiveness of loss repair. But it's difficult for middle box because it's for especially for for example like an router or something, they need to implement repairment algorithm to support the metrics, and it does not consider the packet burst. The other metrics like post repair loss run length encoding. Yeah, it measures effective loss repair, and it can also easily to figure out the bursts, but it's not easy to be compared. And Mailbox need to also implement the repairment mechanism to support the metrics. That's so this is how we do to the effective loss index. It assumes a model that loss repairments are applied on RDP packets. That means that the loss repairments are sent in a different streams other than the media stream itself, and it can calculate batch by batch. Each batch is equal in size, and for one batch, we compare the receiver loss and the effective loss threshold. It's kind of configuration that could be pre-configured in the system. So compare it, and we get effective loss factor, and we calculate the for n batches spreading in the whole measurement period. Yes. Here is just an example to show how we do this. Maybe I'm not going to describe that. Okay, next, please. So this is a new XR block that we hope to extend to include these metrics to report. So it says 16 bits, and we do some modifying the calculate results of ELI by 65,565. Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, yes. Next. Yeah, this is a new SDP attribute support this metric, this report. Next. So applicability. So applications can prescribe the batch size for themselves without signaling. For example, you configure it in your system, and also you can do it by SDP or other something signaling things. How to decide the number of batches? So with the number of batches during the measurement period, it should not be very few. Otherwise, the result may not be accurate enough. So. Yeah, these are just some ways how to decide it. Next. Next. think that's all I got because yes, we think this is very useful, and we ask for maybe consider to adopt it as a working item. Oh, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, we may have a IPR related to it, and maybe this will be declared later. Yeah, that's it. Any comments?
So, did anyone read this document at all? Okay, so I think that I don't know what to currently to do, because we have to figure out how to continue to work in this working group, and I'm not the chair here, so I don't want to make any calls about such an issue. But I'll ask people to at least to review and see if it's okay, and if they have any comment, to get it as an extra block, and we'll see how to discuss afterwards when we decide how to progress with working group, what to do with documents currently in this working group, how to progress the work, because there are new work that's currently coming. Okay. Sorry, the battery ran out, and the battery inside is not the ones that they have here, so you cannot even replace them.
This is a great way of limiting feedback. Hey, same mic in a different location. Colin. We can take the chair mic. Colin Perkins. So, I mean, this I think comes down to the approach that chairs take. This is technically very straightforward. It fits in the existing architecture.
Yeah.
It doesn't break the architecture. We have plenty of extension space. So, for those reasons, there's no reason not to adopt it. The question that the chairs for this group have often asked is whether there are people other than the proponents who are interested in it, and I can't judge that.
Okay.
But it won't break anything.
No, I understand. I just don't feel that I can make the call, because I'm just sitting in this meeting, and I'm not the working group chair. And I mean, we need to decide how to do that. And I understand it's in scope of what the working group is doing, and it's just to do it and all that. But I don't want to make a call on it. I mean, maybe Ben can comment on that, but I don't feel like that should currently be my call.
Yeah, I understand that in this room, most of the people may, are interested in the, conferencing things, but this is really useful for our streaming cases, because not just in China, China market, but China operators, also some European operators, they deploy IPTV something. They need ways to to figure out what this the problem when they deliver the services. So, and yeah,
Okay.
that's is something that our products are considering. So,
Jonathan, thanks. Have you gotten feedback from people other than your author group about this favorably? I mean, are there people who would want to implement it besides you guys that you've heard from? Well, besides Huawei, yeah. Have you heard from other people who are? Okay, yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying you would have had to. Just if you had, that would have been a good sign.
Okay, so the next one is about the next presentation is about the IPPM metric registry.
yes. Okay, yeah. So okay, maybe just go to the background. Okay, so IPPM has worked to register the performance metrics. They have work currently the working documents. It's called initial registry, I think. The main intention of this work is to provide a single point of reference for metrics defined in different groups, and to achieve interoperability, because many metrics are defined, but we need to find ways to align them, and to also to facilitate the comparison of measurements even when using independent implementation measurement systems. So yeah, those metrics are mainly about some the IP related metrics, also some TCP related metrics. But that work also gives an example of how XRBlock metrics could be registered, but they just give them a demo yet. They don't, you know, they don't ask out. They don't mandate them to the XRBlock metrics to be registered. When I looking at that work, I think possibly that work, you know, should be could be applied to XRBlock metrics, because if the metrics are registered, it also allowed for some reporting protocols other than maybe RTCP, XR, SRRR to maybe report these RTP related RTP layer metrics. So I think this is also, you know, because when I do in some IPTV streaming services, and this is something that operators are care about. Also, yeah, it's easy to compare when using different memory systems. So, but you know, these decisions are not made in IPPM, and it should be discussed in XRBlock. So that's why we brought this discussion here. Yes. So yeah, just some discussion I want to have. What do you think?
So,
should we do this or not?
okay, so just for clarification, I mean, this is I mean, I don't know if anyone here follows also IPPM, but IPPM started an effort to register all metrics that has to do, as it said, general metrics and the method how to use them as a overall. And part of it, they allocated some place for also for RTCP ones. So what Rachel suggests is that we will try to fill this registry with information from RTC, from XR blocks or RTCP metrics into that registry that they are conducting over there. It was mentioned also in IPPM. Al Morton is the editor of this document in the IPPM, and he mentioned that we look and see if you want to do the RTCP section there or not. So that's what Rachel is saying. If they're interested, if anyone, I assume, I mean, it may be news to anyone. Maybe Al can say something about it.
Hi, I'm Al Morton.
This is okay.
I'm the surviving surviving editor of all these registry metrics, I guess. I should probably add that this is it's more than your typical registry entry where you see you know, like one line in an HTML table. The sample RTCP XR registry entry we have is 7 pages long. And yes, yes. That in answer to Jonathan's question, it's a registry. In fact, I've already done a lot of early work with IANA to get this sorted out. So yeah, it's a registry. It's not a registry yet, though. Make your comments at last call if you want. So. Pardon, Bernard? Well, yeah, but I think IANA's as prepared to make this one as they are any other. In fact, we're getting a whole new namespace for this, which IANA was happy with. So the problem and the issue with making these registry entries is that they really need a lot of specificity to achieve some of the goals on the first page there. Like, for example, to make the metrics comparable and so forth. So what we have in the registry is an example RTCP XR metric. It's a little bit behind in terms of the registry format changes that IANA proposed. So it's just marked as an example. But you have to be pretty serious about this if you want to do it. And like I said, if you're going to do, you know, 5 or 6 metrics, that's going to be some number of pages of work. And I just want the working group to understand the level of effort that's necessary. Further, I would suggest that folks in the RTCP XR working group do their own document, rather than trying to jam it into the initial one that we're desperately trying to finish up. And we're really just holding on to the registry format to get this set of initial contents right. And the sooner we do that, the sooner we'll press the working group last call and publication requested button. I think it's had pretty good review. So so that's the way you should think about it, as a document that this working group would propose that would fit the eventually proposed registry format. Thanks.
So basically the presentation was to first create awareness that this work is going in IPPM, and there's a place there to put the XR, not the XR blocks, but RTCP parameters into this registry that will be created. And Rachel suggested that she can start to do this. She's willing to take this work, and eventually it will be an IPPM document eventually. It doesn't matter as long as it goes to the registry. Okay,
yeah,
so
it really doesn't have to be. In fact,
okay.
The whole point of the registry was that it was supposed to be IETF's performance metrics registry. We did it under IPPM as the place where it was most interesting.
Okay, so it's more like if there's really interest in, so that we should do this work here, and if people will review and comment and suggest what to put in this registry.
Hi, Colin Perkins. So I'm very happy if Rachel wishes to do more work, but what would be the benefit to this working group? I mean, I'm assuming IPPM have some benefit for their community, but why should this working group care?
Yeah, just like
I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just saying
No, I mean, I understand. I mean, I think that's what Al was trying to explain. What's the purpose of the IPPM work? Jonathan?
I was wondering if Rachel had an answer for the previous question first. I was just going to say, in theory, the core RTCP metrics, the 3550 based ones would be in scope of ABT core, but as ABT core chair, I am happy if we put it all in one document that's an XR block. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the scope would be Jonathan. Yeah, I agree. I think the scope will be to look at all the parameters that we have and to pick the one, not the XR block ones, but the ones that really are important. I think that's what she tried to put here in this list. I mean,
Yes.
to look at the ones that are not really just XR block parameters. Okay, so again, I think I mean, it's like the only concern is that if really people, if Rachel volunteers to do that, I mean, if the people really will appreciate or to read or support this work in XR block, that's the only thing. And otherwise, I see no reason not to do that.
Yeah, Colin Perkins. I mean, I think if you want people to review it, you need to justify why the working group should care. And
Okay.
I haven't seen what to me is a compelling argument why we should.
Okay, so Rachel, Rachel, what really suggested that we should send something?
Actually, in my opinion, doing this work, the benefit is that not just RTP endpoints could to report these metrics. Also, maybe some mailboxes that could to read the RTP layer to support these metrics to do some troubleshooting. This is they don't have to do to implement RTCP or this kind of to do that.
But they can do that without this registry.
But you need some metric to be specified and registered, so that maybe different mailbox could compare together.
But we have specified the registries.
Yeah. And again, that goes. I think the question will be, and I think that's what Al was trying to say, is that the question will be whether, I mean, you send them to different places, or there's some central place where you can find all the metrics. And again, it's a question we have to ask if people think it's valuable.
Yeah.
So I mean, for example, the media types, there is a central registry and the same types get used for RTP and for
Mhm.
email and for the web and for a bunch of things. And you know, there's a clear benefit to having a central registry and a central
Yeah.
namespace there. And maybe there is a namespacing issue or something like that, which would be, show that there's some reason why we would want to participate in this. If it's just a registry for the sake of having a complete
Yeah, of
registry,
Doesn't matter.
Al Morton, let me give you the background on why IPPM thought this was worthwhile. Our metrics were originally written with a lot of flexibility so that two people could provide input factors to the variables of the metrics and produce completely different results. So what we wanted to do in this registry was to nail down that flexibility so that if not only were the methods of measurements and the definitions used the same, but the parameters, like the amount of time you use to declare loss for a packet that doesn't arrive, and other more complicated factors. I mean, obviously not the source and destination addresses. Those are variables too. And we distinguish between runtime and fixed variables. So this was a key thing to nail down, was the fixed variables for IPPM metrics.
Okay.
There are some variables in the RTCP XR metrics, like the value of G for the bursts, the gap, minimum gap.
Yeah.
So that's an example of something you might want to nail down.
Yeah.
If there's parameters like that in other metrics that you want good comparability over, then you want those fixed and you want that in the registry.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
We are
thank you.
over time a bit, so we'll take it to the list about the motivation and if we want to do it and why we want to do it, and then make a decision. I think we have 1 minute, so if you just want, I want just to, if Ben can just say something about
Want to bring that slide back?
the slide.
Dan slide.
Dan slides, just a second.
The chair slides.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want me to say something about the registry?
Not the registry.
Okay.
Not about the registry, of course not.
So I'll add one more option to this, is to keep doing what we just did. Dan said he does have time to continue with chair, but he doesn't have the resources for travel. So one additional option to what's on the list is to keep the group going with Dan as the chair and either add a person who can travel, or XR Block doesn't meet every time, or we could meet in cooperation with one of the other groups whenever XR Block meets. I don't have strong feelings on any of these right here, although one question some other people asked me, so I'll ask it here. Who in the room has a implementation that consumes extended reports?
That consumes.
Consumes extended reports.
You support extend. Rachel.
Yes.
Rachel.
Okay.
He asked if you have
Okay, so this one.
implementations that support any Excel reports.
So specifically consumes, reads them. Well, you can write them all day, but it doesn't do any good if no one reads them, right? Okay, I see. Okay.
And there are others, the ones that are doing monitoring and stuff like that, because it was
Yeah,
that's where it originally came, that are looking at those. The companies
Okay.
that have-
So I guess there's not really time to discuss these next steps right now, so I'll bring it back up on the mailing list and with the
Okay.
chairs.
Okay.
But if people have opinions on this, please send either to me or to the mailing, or me and the chairs, or to the mailing list, whichever you would rather do. And otherwise, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out well before Montreal.
Okay. Because for example, Dan didn't have even the time to be in the meeting today. He had conflict with the time even being from remote, So, I mean,